I've used this mower now for 2 years. What do I think of it? Was it a good buy? Hi, I'm Chris and welcome back to the Handyman at Home channel. In this video, we're going to be taking a close look at my 2-year-old cordless lawnmower from Einhell, model number GE-CM 36/37 Li36V, and that's a mouthful. This is a 36V cordless mower that takes two 18V power exchange batteries and has a cut width of 37 centimeters, making it suitable for small to medium-sized lawns. If you're a regular viewer of the channel, you might well have seen some of my other Einhell garden tool reviews. These were all pretty much new out-of-the-box reviews, based on fairly limited use of each tool. In this in-depth review, I'll highlight the good and the bad points based on 2 years regular use. Finally, I answer the question, was it a good buy? Before we get started, just a quick apology about sound levels for some of the outdoor segments. Unfortunately, my lapel microphone stopped working pretty much straight away, and I didn't notice this until I came to edit it. Hopefully you'll still find it worthwhile watching, but you may want to turn your volume up a little. We're going to initially take a quick look at the key features, but before we do, why did I buy a new lawnmower when my existing 10-year-old Bosch was still working okay? Well, I'd been considering getting a cordless mower for a couple of years, because I was starting to get truly fed up having to continually move the power cord around as I progressed down the lawn. This had always been a bit of a pain, but was starting to get worse as the cord was getting less flexible due to it aging. A bit like me really. Yes, I could have just replaced the cord for a lot less cost, but that wouldn't have stopped it from still being a hassle. Secondly, at the time, I was looking after 2 other people's lawns, which meant I always needed access to mains power, limiting when I could get the lawns cut. Going cordless would kill 2 birds with 1 stone. My other reasons were also related to this, in that I was having to load the mower in and out of the car boot on a regular basis. Maybe I could get something that had a handle that was fully collapsible, and also perhaps a little bit lighter. So let's take a quick run through the key features as highlighted by Einhell themselves, and then we'll look at the mower in more detail. The mower has a 37 centimeter cutting width and uses a fairly typical steel blade. The integrated lawn comb is intended to funnel the grass into the path of the blade. Cutting height can be adjusted in 6 steps from 25 to 75 millimeters using a gear stick style handle. The ergonomically shaped handle is height adjustable to suit personal preference, and incorporates a 2-step safety feature to allow you to switch on the mower. The lightweight removable grass collection bag has a capacity of 45 litres and incorporates a simple indicator that shows when the bag is full. To minimise the amount of storage space required and also make carrying the mower easier, the handle can be completely folded down. 2 18V power exchange lithium-ion batteries power a 36V motor to provide increased mowing capability. Finally, the mower comes with a 2-year warranty, which can be extended to 3 years if registered online. Okay then, let's have a look in a bit more detail. So the mower takes 2 batteries. This is the compartment, 2 slots. I'm using the 3 amp 18V batteries. But you could of course use a smaller battery, that's a 2.5 ampere hour, and there are larger ones in the range. But to put them in, it's just a case of sliding them in, make sure they click home. Second one. The final thing we need to do is to put in the safety key. So the mower won't run without this key in position. So obviously if you're clearing out grass cuttings or need to do something with the blade, then you need to take that out. Taking that out means you don't have to take the batteries out, or of course you could do that. So that slides in that position, quite stiff, and we're ready to go. Obviously when you're finished, first thing you want to do is either take the batteries out or take the safety key out. That comes out quite easily. Now I found the batteries can be a little bit stiff to pull out, but you need to make sure that you depress, you need to make sure you depress the lever there. If you try and pull them out without fully depressing, that's what makes the difference. Press them fully in, it's still stiff. There we go. So it can be a little bit stiff. Click them home. Check they're fully charged. So we've got 3 LED lights. Don't know if you can see that. Safety key in. We're ready to go. So with the safety key in, the mower will start. With the safety key out, nothing. One of the things I really like about this mower is how easy it is to change the height. So we have multiple height settings here: 25, 35, 45, 55, 65 and 75, and it's quite a nice easy movement. So that's gone down one again, so that's on the lowest cut, which is 25. I would prefer it a little bit lower, but you know, it is what it is. And then to come up, see how easy that is. We're up to, what's that, 55 and up to 75. There is really not much effort at all in adjusting that. And if you're like me, you've had previous mowers where the height adjustment can be quite tricky, but it doesn't require any force at all. Well, a little bit, but very easy to do, and you can see the height adjustment. So typically I find first cut of the year I start off on 45, work my way down to 25 and then leave it on 25 through to maybe September, and then gradually go up to 45. Grass never gets that long that I need to use 55 and above. As I say, I would prefer it if it went just a little bit lower, maybe about 20, maybe even 15. Maybe that would scalp the grass a little bit too much, but I do like that. So we release the clips, and now the handle will actually drop all the way to the floor, or go vertical, but you'd have to be really tall to use it like that. So, as I say, I tend to use it on the number 2 setting. These locking clamps are such that if you turn them a little bit, that will apply a little bit more pressure when you come to lock them, and if you have them turned too far in, you just physically can't lock them. So once you've set it up, that's on 3, that's on 3. It's pretty easy, and you can, I guess, go lower than the recommended settings, but you'd have to be pretty short to find that comfortable. Let's put them back to 2, and we'll have a look at how to collapse the handle. One of the reasons I chose this model was the ability to properly collapse the handle. It makes it much easier to get it in the boot of a car. At the time I was looking after my lawns and the lawns also at 2 other properties, so putting it in the back of the car was a key requirement. So to drop it down, the first thing we got to do is release the handle clamps. These work in the same way as the height adjustment. So the upper part of the handle drops down, then release the clamps there, lift the whole thing, and it collapses lovely down. And at that point you can lift it up really is much better than the Bosch mower I used to have, which whilst you could fold the upper part of the handle assembly down, you couldn't get the lower part to fold down, and that made it quite difficult getting it in and out of the car. The other reason I liked this was that it is lighter than the Bosch I had, only by a couple of kilos. I'll put the figure on the screen, especially with the batteries in. If you take the batteries out when you're lifting it up and down, that does make a difference. I guess each one weighs about a kilo. It's not lightweight, but it's better for moving around. So if you've got to carry it from the front of your house to the back of the house, that's a pretty good way to do it. You can, of course, lift it without collapsing the handle. That's not a requirement. Just lock them in position, put them in position 2. Position 2. You can still carry it, and it's reasonably well balanced, but being able to fold the handle down, it's quick, and it makes a big difference the amount of space it requires, especially for storage as well. One thing you need to make sure of is that you lock the handle in a straight down position. You can see here it's slightly bent, so I need to release that, pull it up properly, and then lock it. You can always tighten it up if you think it's not tight enough, just by rotating the handle. And if you can never undo it, can't do that now, just slacken it off and then it'll pop open. Close it, rotate it around, tighten it up, and you're good to go. But yeah, make sure the arms are in line, otherwise you'll be driving it round corners. I'll just jump in at this point, having only just noticed that the upper set of handle locks also have 3 settings marked on their inner faces, i.e. 1 to 3. I guess this means that you could use any of 9 combinations between the upper and lower handle locks to achieve your preferred handle height. Clearly, you should use the same settings on each side of the handle, which I guess is the point I was trying to make. I should obviously read the manual in future. Now back to the video. Putting the grass box on is dead easy. Just lift up the flap, just clip straight on, put that down, and we're done. To empty out, lift the flap again, straight up and off. The grass box is a little bit smaller than the box I had on the Bosch. To be honest, I'd prefer it if it was a little bit bigger. I do have to empty it more frequently when I'm doing the lawn, but it is the size that it is and it's not a massive issue. Lift the flap up, come straight off. Now what you should never do, of course, is when you've got the flap up, put your hand in here to clear out the grass without removing that safety key. We don't want any chopped fingers. Down it goes. So the grass box has this little blow up flap, which is supposed to indicate when the grass box is full. So I don't know if you can make it out, but it's got a little symbol on where it shows that if the flap is up, it's go, and if the flap is down, it's stop, i.e. the box is full. I think it works on the principle that if the box is still not quite full, there is air passing through it sufficient to blow up the flap. Obviously if it's full of grass cuttings, the air can't get through, and so the flap stays down. To be honest, it's a waste of time. I don't pay any attention to it. You can usually tell when your grass box is full because the motor will start bogging down. What I mean by that is you can hear the motor start to struggle because it's trying to force more cuttings into the box when it's already full. It's a good idea, but I don't pay any attention to it. Sometimes if you're going over a lawn that's particularly bumpy like mine, this is bouncing up and down and you think, what the hell's going on? Anyway, I'm sure somebody thought it was a good idea, but for me, I don't bother with it. To start the mower, first thing you need to do is press down the central black button and then lift up the safety bar. Releasing the safety bar, the motor will stop even though you've still got the switch or the button depressed. So you don't need to hold that button down all the time. That's one to hold to get it started, two, and off we go. And releasing the bar, the button pops back up. In terms of comfort, I find it a comfortable handle. I don't have big lawns, so I'm not holding on to this for hours on an end. What you can see is some evidence of wear, so the rubber surface, I think it's rubber, is broken down a little bit. More on that handle. Sweaty hand syndrome maybe. Not a big issue, just a little bit unsightly. In terms of noise level, it states 96 dB. I think the true test is just to run it up and down. I've got it set on a fairly high cut here because I cut the lawn a few days ago and it's actually a little bit moist at the moment, so I'm not actually going to cut any grass, but you'll get the idea of the noise level. Right then, what do I think of it? Well, overall, I'm pretty happy with it. On the plus side, it's very easy to use, has a good range of adjustments, and certainly meets my three main buying criteria. I like how easy it is to adjust the cutting height, fitting and removing the grass box is trouble-free, and battery performance is good, even after 2 years' use. Yes, it would be great if it could cut a little closer, say to 20mm, and if the grass collection bag was a little larger, and maybe if the batteries weren't occasionally stiff to remove, but they're all pretty small points, in my opinion at least. It is worth pointing out that it doesn't have the same grunt as a mains powered mower, so if you're trying to cut very long grass, especially if it's wet, you may find it will struggle to get through it. The biggest plus though is just the whole cordless experience. Insert the batteries and off you go. And no more flicking the cable out of the way all the time. But of course, you'd get that no matter which brand you chose. So which other brands did I consider? My starting point was Bosch, as I'd had great service from my existing Bosch mower. It was a close run thing, but the Bosch models were noticeably more expensive. I'd set a budget of around £200 at the time, and they also seemed to be a bit bulkier. I seriously considered something from Stihl. They make a great range of garden tools which have a good reputation for performance and reliability. However, even the lowest spec model was well outside my budget. Cost was also an issue with G-Tech. They were seriously pricey. I was also put off by the look and feel. They seemed almost toy-like to me, which is probably unfair, but appearances count. I also didn't think white was a great choice of colour for an outdoor tool. ToolStation had recently introduced their own Hawksmoor brand around the time I was looking, and they were certainly a budget-friendly option, but I had no feeling for how reliably they might perform. One factor that finally swung it for Einhell was their power exchange battery format, which can be used interchangeably not just across their garden tools, but also across their DIY tool range. Yes, I know that's the case for Bosch and many others, but I felt I was much more likely in the future to purchase a cordless DIY tool from the Einhell range, such as an impact driver, multi-tool, etc., than I would from Bosch. Stihl, G-Tech and Hawksmoor couldn't offer that flexibility either. Of course, there are many other brands to choose from, such as DeWalt, Makita, Flymo, Spear & Jackson, etc, etc. But a complete comparison is well beyond the scope of this video, which is already quite long. So how much did I pay then? Well, in March 2022, I paid ToolStation the princely sum of £241 for the mower, complete with two 3Ah batteries and two chargers. Yes, it was 20% above my budget, but as I said, I'm pretty happy with it. Overall, I'd give it a Handyman at Home rating of 9 out of 10, and would certainly recommend it to anyone looking for an easy to use cordless mower for small to mid-sized gardens. I did wonder whether this model would still be available 2 years later, but a quick Google search, early June 2024, threw up a number of retailers offering it without batteries or charger for around the £180 to £200 mark, and around the £240 mark with two batteries and chargers included. Now, I'm not here to sell Einhell products, but hopefully this video will prove helpful, whichever of their mower offerings you might be considering. Okay then, that's it for this one. I hope you found it useful. Please don't forget to like, comment and subscribe so you don't miss out on future content. If you're interested in solar power, please do look out for my 2-year system review coming in the next couple of months. Thanks for watching, and I hope to see you again on the next one. Cheers.